Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Alicia, and today I am showing you guys every single book on my physical TBR. So every book that I have not yet read that is technically in my library. It's literally just the cheapest bookshelf from Walmart that I've had for like the past 10 years. So so I don't yet have a whole library. I usually keep all the books that I haven't read on my bookshelf, and all the books that I have read I have to put in the closet because I have nowhere else to put them. So I'm going to go by genre. I'm going to start with fantasy, and then we have romance, we have thriller mystery, we have horror. I will probably end up reading quite a few of these books this year. So if you're interested in reading vlogs or any book reviews on anything that I'm about to show you guys, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to get to those books sooner than other books. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. Okay, we have a ghost in the room knocking stuff over. Awesome. But yeah, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content, or honestly, if you just enjoy me, go ahead and give this a like. Literally everyone disliking. Cool. Anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna take a sip of Alani Nu. That rhymed. And let's get right into it. Okay, so first up we have fantasy. I have quite a few fantasy because after I started ACOTAR, of course, the best fantasy book of all time, sorry, not sorry, I wanted to read more fantasy because I wanted to feel like I felt when I was reading ACOTAR again, and Throne of Glass. Oh my gosh, top tier. Anyways, I have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I honestly might go ahead and skip saying the authors' names because there's a lot of authors and that's so many names, and I'm really terrible at pronouncing like authors' names that I've never heard pronounced before. So you know what, we're just gonna say like the name of the book and kind of what I think it's about. Once Upon a Broken Heart. I honestly have no idea what this is about. I just know that it's a series that you're supposed to read after you read the Caraval series, which I bought last year, the book set. As you can see, I have not opened it yet because I've been waiting for the right time because I really want to do a reading vlog of reading these. So I'm thinking I might get to these in the summer or possibly even the springtime this year. But all I know about this series is that it's fantasy. I think it takes place at a carnival, I would assume. And I think there's some enemies to lovers in there, but that's all that I know about that series. And if you've read any of the books I'm about to show you, let me know in the comments what you thought of them so that I know what to read first, like what the best books to read first are going to be and what I should hold off on. A Fate Inked in Blood. I got this for Christmas this past 2024. I got it for Christmas. So I think I saw this in a TikTok and it sounded really good. And I think someone said if you like ACOTAR, you'll like this one. So I am very excited. What I've heard about this one is that it's like forced marriage and like a very slow burn. So I think it's kind of enemies to lovers, which enemies to lovers is my favorite trope ever. I just love it so much. Lapidary, I think I also saw on TikTok last year, and I got this one for Christmas as well. I don't know anything about this book, to be honest. I mean, from the cover, it makes me think there's winged people, like angels maybe or something. This is Never Keep, Sins of the Zodiac. So this one I actually got as a present from my sibling and for Christmas. So I didn't pick this book out, actually. They picked it out for me. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal #1 bestselling authors of the Zodiac Academy series. Please comment below and tell me if I should read the Zodiac Academy series. I will tell you that I did love Twilight, I loved Harry Potter, and I loved ACOTAR. So I don't know what that says, if that says that I would love the Zodiac Academy, but I have thought about getting into the Zodiac Academy. It just seems so daunting because there's so many books, right? Like it's so crazy. So that I'm not completely sure on, but I have wanted to get into it, and I feel like this is perfect because it's a dark enemies to lovers romantasy series. So they know me so well. Romantasy and dark and enemies to lovers. Like anything that has that, I feel like it could be the worst writing in the world and I would still be like 10 out of 10. Absolutely into it. Then we have Shades of Rust and Ruin. And again, I think this is like romantasy vibes. I think most of the fantasy I do have is romantasy of some sort because I do find that I can't get as into a fantasy series if it doesn't have some kind of romance, specifically enemies to lovers romance. Because if it's like friends to lovers or like strangers to lovers, I feel like I just don't like, I don't feel as much. Like I'm like, oh, okay, not as cool, like not into it. Then we have The Ballad of Never After, which again I think is part of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I need to read all of that. That's why like I really want to do like a month where I just read all of the Stephanie Garber books I have and do a whole reading vlog on those. So that might be coming this year. Then I have Clockwork Angel, which this is kind of funny because I've had this on my TBR. Like even the pages are kind of like yellow at this point. Because my sister actually gave me this book years ago and I've just like kept it and I always think I'm going to read it and I still haven't. So I don't know. That one might end up being one that I end up giving away. I need to look more into it because I don't know what it's about. I really don't know what it's about. And I'm sure I don't want to bore you guys with reading the back covers. So, and then we have Red Rising, which I got this past year at the bookstore. My sister got this book too at the same time I did because we both wanted to read it. And it was so funny because she was Marco Poloing me about the book. And I said something about like, oh, it reminds me of Maximum Ride, the Maximum Ride series, which I absolutely loved when I was like in middle school. She was like, literally, Alicia, it has a wing on it, but like, it's not like that. Like, I guess maybe there's no winged people or something. I can't remember what she said, but it's like a dystopian novel, but she was like, I have no idea why there's wings. Like, they don't fly. And I was like, oh. If I'm remembering what she said correctly, watch me be completely wrong. But anyways, I did want to get into this series, but she did say that it is definitely more like politically based. And I will say that I did read The Hunger Games too. And I when I was younger, and I did always wish that The Hunger Games had more romance in it. I just like that more. That's more entertaining to me. It makes me really like connect with the book more. So I'm not sure if I'm going to end up liking Red Rising, but I hope I do. These Hollow Vows. I got this one last year, I believe, as well. I am really excited because this one seems like just another romantasy, which I love. And then my sister actually loaned me this one because she already read it. I love how the pages are like that, if you can see. But this is the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I think my sister said for her this was boring. She wasn't super into it. I am hoping to read this around the fall time. I was hoping to read it around the fall time this past year, but just it didn't happen. I'm hoping though to save this one for the fall time because I really want to do like a cozy reading vlog. Then we have The Witch Collector. I want to say my sister gave me this book because she already read it because I do not remember picking. I think she gave it to me. So I have no idea what this is about because she just gave it to me. So, but we tend to read the same novels, the same kinds of books. So we both tend to read romantasy. So I'm hoping it's all in good taste. And then we have Wicked, which I've had this one for like over, it's so weird that some of the, like some books, the pages are like yellow and this isn't even that old. It's just like weird to me. They don't smell weird. Anyways, and I think I just saw on TikTok that this was like a good, fun fantasy. So I was like, oh, okay. I think I got a bunch of these after I finished Throne of Glass. And then I needed a break from fantasy and I just haven't gotten back into any of them yet. Then we have One Dark Window, which I got for my birthday last year. It's 2025 now and I'm still just like, oh, it's still 2024. No, it's 2025. But I got this last year for my birthday and I did request it. So I do, because people said this is really good if you like, I think like a darker romance, but also fantasy. And I'm like, okay, I can get down with that. I have read dark romances that I loved. And then I've read dark romances that I just haven't connected to and like have fallen flat. So I'm hoping that it's one that I end up connecting to and really enjoying. We have To Kill a Kingdom, which is from my sibling as well, that I have heard nothing about. So I know nothing about this book, but I love a good fantasy series. So, and I don't even know if it's a series, I'm assuming, but maybe not. I don't know, but very excited to read that. I got The Spell Shop, which I am very excited to read this in the fall time, along with the Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, I think it was. I feel like those would be really fun to read in a cozy vlog. And it has like purple sprayed edges, which I think is really cute. So I think those would be fun to read kind of one after the other and like have a cup of tea. Like, doesn't that sound so nice? So I'm very excited to read this one. I've heard that it's just really cozy. Like it's just a cozy little fantasy. So like it's supposed to be more fun than like scary or intense, I think. And I feel like that's a needed change sometimes when you read so much heavy stuff in fantasy and things like that. Oh, and then we have this I'm going to have to read in a finishing series I'm in the middle of because this has been on my TBR for like 2 years now. And when I tell you the Ash and Blood series, this is A Soul of Ash and Blood, which is the 5th book. I don't think it's the final. I think there's going to be 7 books in this series. I don't know if they've put the next one out yet. After ACOTAR, I was like, what do I read next? Like, I feel like I was in tears at that point. Like, I was just like, not in tears, but I was just upset that ACOTAR was over. Like, I loved it so much. And then I looked up, like, what's the closest book to kind of feeling that way and feeling in that. I can't describe what it is, but there's just this feeling you feel when you read ACOTAR. And it's like, now I'm just chasing that high constantly when I'm reading. Always chasing that high. So I saw that Ash and Blood, the Blood and Ash series, whatever, I saw and read that it was the closest kind of thing to that feeling. Like, if you've read ACOTAR and loved it, you will love this series. So I read the first book and I was obsessed. The first book in this series is so good. And honestly, I loved the second and the third one as well. The fourth one, I will say that it started to almost get boring because it was so repetitive. And because it felt like every time we learned something else that made what we had learned false or like didn't matter anymore, if that makes sense. So I really love this series, but I've had such a hard time getting back into it. One, because it's not a finished series. So I'm like, well, if I read this, then I'm just gonna have to like wait for the next book, even if I'm like, cliffhanger, like I need to know. So I really do love these books, this series, but I just have not been able to get back into it, but I really feel like I need to this year because I literally remember where I was when I started reading this series. Like, I remember how I felt. I remember like everything about that night when I started reading this series because I loved it so much. Like, every time I find a series or a book that I just fall in love with, like, I will remember when I started it because it means that much to me. That was all the fantasy books. We are now going to move on to romance. Okay, romance time. First, we have Butcher and Blackbird. Now, I know this is more of like a darker romance because I think it's about, from what I've heard about it, which it's been like everywhere talked about, I've heard that it is like a serial killer and a cop, I think, getting together. Or maybe 2 serial killers. To be honest, I don't know. I get this mixed up with not Haunting Adeline, the Mind F series. I think I just get those 2 mixed up sometimes. But I think most of all, it is a romance, if I remember correctly. So that's why I put it in the romance category. But I'm excited to read it. I haven't really figured out if I like horror romance, which I don't think it's horror, but like I usually actually don't love when in a thriller book I'm reading there is romance. Like, it's not needed for me when I'm reading that kind of genre. So I don't know if I'm going to feel that way about Butcher and Blackbird, of like the romance isn't needed because like that's not why I'm reading the book. But I'm going into the book thinking that the romance is what I'm there for. So I'm hoping that I like it, but we'll see. Again, let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these books and what you've thought. We have the Ice Planet Barbarians, which my sibling got me for this. Oh, it's a special edition too. I didn't even realize that. Got me this not last year for Christmas, but I think the year before. And I have not yet had the courage to break into this book. It scares me. If I'm being honest, it scares me a little. It's a little out of my comfort zone. It's a little weird for me. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I've just heard that there's like spicy barbarians on this planet. I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable. I literally read a dark romance where the girl gets like kidnapped and I'm just like, that was fine. But this makes me uncomfortable. Like, I just need to suck it up and just read this because I have seen people really love this series and I want to give it a try before I just like say absolutely no. It sounds fun. I feel like I really need to do a reading vlog with this because I feel like my reactions would be something. So yeah, anyways, I have that to read. So, okay, Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one I've heard such good things about. I love a good cowboy romance, so I'm into it. Then we have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I read one Tessa Bailey book one time and I hated it with such a passion that I have yet to pick up this one because I hated the other Tessa Bailey book so much. But I bought the other Tessa Bailey book after I bought this book and I read the other one first. And that was a mistake because it was so bad. But I kept seeing everyone talk about how great Tessa Bailey is. And like from the one book I read, it was so boring, so annoying. It made me angry. It literally made me angry because I was so excited for the story. And then for it to be just trash. I hated it. I hated it so much. Anyways, I was so upset and I was like, I will never read anything by this author again. But I already had this other book. So I was like, dang it. So I guess I should give her another try. But I think I maybe just don't like Tessa Bailey's writing, but I'm not completely 100% sure about that because I only read the one book. Love and Other Conspiracies. I got this one last year. I am excited for this one. I think it's just like a cutesy, not spooky, but like a spooky girly on Tumblr. That's the vibes it gives me of like, and I can relate to that. I was on Tumblr, okay? Like, weren't we all? I just love a good cutesy romance, honestly. Then we have Forever Never by Lucy Score. I don't think I've read anything by her before. I'm really excited to read this one. I think it's just that I know this is a series now. I didn't when I bought it, but now I know it's a series, and that made me be like, I don't know if I want to like pick it up right now, because then I feel like I'm a person where if I do really like a book and it's the series, I have to read the whole series like back to back, or I'll freak out. And I don't have the other books, so I feel like maybe I just need to buy them, but I don't. I was trying to be good, and I wanted to just buy a book the first book in a series and wait until I'd read it to buy the other books to make sure I liked it. So yeah, I am excited for this one because I think it's, from what I've heard about these books, if I am remembering correctly, it's like, okay, so I'll just read you the little tagline on the back. It says, you don't fall for your brother's high school sweetheart, your boss's daughter, or your ex-wife's best friend, especially when they're all the same woman. So I am excited for that because it seems like there's going to be like a reason that they can't be in love. And that is my favorite, is like because it almost doesn't even have to be enemies to lovers at that point. It's like if there's just a reason that you can't show your feelings for the other person, that's like my bread and butter. I love that. When it's a stupid reason though, it just like makes me mad instead of being like, oh my gosh, the drama. It's just like, if it's a stupid reason that wouldn't even be like, where I'm just like, it's not believable, then I don't like that because it takes me out of it, you know? And then we have, I'm just going to show all four of them. So we have the new Anna Hong series that I got for Christmas this past 2024. And I already started this one. And I'm excited for it. I will say though, I really wanted it to be more, I think, like the Twisted series, and by her, because she wrote the Twisted series. And so far it was honestly a little bit boring, but I feel like I haven't even gotten 100 pages into it. And I do have a habit of like thinking books are boring because I don't give them enough time. So I'm hoping that it gets better. But as of right now, it's just like the plot and like the storyline isn't that intriguing to me. So I'm hoping it gets better, and I really want to do a reading vlog where I read all four of these books so that I can tell you guys what I thought. But yeah, so that'll come soon hopefully. But it's just like 4 different love stories. Last Chance Books, which I got this in a blind date with a book at my local like romance book truck. I got this there and it was a mystery. So I'm excited. It seems like it's maybe enemies to lovers because I think book lovers can be haters too. So it's something with like enemies to lovers and it has books in it. So we love that. So I'm excited to read a cute little love story. There's one person I watch, I can't remember who it is, that does like reading vlogs and stuff. And I think she had read that book and she did not like it. So I'm like, I hope that I like it. Because you never like want to read a book and not like it. Honestly, like that's the worst. It's not fun. Oh, and then we have Season's Greetings, which I got this from my sister for Christmas this year. I was gonna read this in a Christmas reading vlog with her, but we didn't end up doing that. But I think I'm gonna save this one for Christmas next year if I can hold off, because I do love a hockey romance. So this is kind of calling my name. This is You Have a Match, which it seems like it's gonna be a love story, but also have like family drama happening, because it seems like she has a secret sister, it says up here. So I think she puts her DNA in something and finds that she has a sister that she didn't know about. And then I think maybe she falls in love and there's maybe a reason she can't be in love. I don't know. But this seemed really cute and it's got camp vibes. So, and by camp, I mean like going camping vibes, not like camp, like theater camp. Do you know what I mean? So anyways, I'm thinking this will be a summer read because I love when a book has a certain seasonal vibe. I love to read it during that season. So I think this will be a summer read for sure. We have A Brush with Love, which I just thought it was cute. I just thought the cover was cute. and I love blue and pink together. I think it's adorable. This honestly reminded me a lot of The Love Hypothesis. I think by the colors of the cover and also just kind of the premise of it's not someone that's like in high school or undergrad, which I really enjoy, that it's kind of like someone that's a little bit older, because I feel like so many romances are younger people and it's like, I'm 30, girl. Like, I don't want to read about 15-year-olds. I don't want to read about 18-year-olds even. That just seems so young to me now. So I liked that the people in this are a little bit older. Then we have Even When You Lie to Me, which literally I don't know where the book cover is. This is one that my sister gave me, like passed down to me, and I have no idea what it's about. So I probably will never read it, if I'm being honest, unless I actually look up what it's about. And then we have Girl Abroad by Elle Kennedy, which Elle Kennedy is my queen. Okay, Sarah J. Maas is my queen of fantasy. Elle Kennedy for me, that's top tier romance, and I have not read this one yet, and I'm so excited. When I saw that there was an Elle Kennedy book that I hadn't read, I was like, excuse me? Girl knows how to write a good romance. Like, she wrote all these like hockey college romances, and they're still my favorite romance books. Like 100% my favorite romance books. I love them all. There was one that I just didn't like, one of the tropes that's in it, but other than that, I love the writing. I don't even know if it's good writing, okay? I'm not an English major. I'm not a lit major. I don't know if it's good writing, but I know that it makes me feel good, and I love it. So I think it's good writing. Anyways, this Girl Abroad, have not read this. I think it's like she goes abroad and she has all these love interests that she could possibly be with, and like she has to choose or something. So I'm very excited about that because I just love how Elle Kennedy writes romance. It's so good. I highly recommend, you guys. Not that book specifically because I haven't read it, but I highly recommend reading the Off Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Top tier romance, in my opinion. Then we have A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, which I think I got this either for my birthday this past year or I got it for Christmas in 2023. This just seemed like a cutesy, romancy fantasy. I think it's romance more than it is fantasy, though. I don't really know. I think it is based on a romance, though. Like, the story is more about the romance than it is the fantasy. We have We Should Hang Out Sometime, which I have no idea. This is another one that was given to me by my sister. I have no idea. This seems cute. I think it's told from the perspective of a guy. And it says when he was 25 years old. So that to me says that he's older, which is nice. Like, at least over 21, guys. Can we stop having freaking 18-year-olds? I'm telling you. Anyways, okay, that is all the romance books. So next on the list is horror. And then after that, we have thrillers. Okay, I know I said horror and then thriller, I think is what I had said before. But we're actually going to combine the two because so many of these, like, you could say it's either one. Like, you could say it's horror and you could say it's thriller. So, or it's like a little bit of both. So I'm just going to go through and kind of do this all as like one category. So this is horror and thriller books. Some of them are both and some of them are just one or the other. But for me, I feel like the horror that I read, I do not find it interesting usually unless there is some kind of thrilling mystery. So for me, a lot of the horror that I do have or read is going to encompass some kind of thriller aspect. So that being said, let's just get into the books. Okay, Two Can Keep a Secret. This is more YA, I believe. I think this is like high schoolers. This one I got before I started getting back into reading. And all I really knew was like YA because that's what I'd always read before. And so I think I just like got that book because I was like, oh, that's what I know. And it would be an easy read, but I just still haven't read it yet. And now I'm like kind of not in a YA place. So we'll see. Then we have Little Secrets. In this one, it sounds like her son is taken and like all these other secrets come to light while they're trying to find their son. So this seems really good. This is The Invited, which seems to be kind of a mix of a ghost story with thriller, I guess, because this couple starts building redoing a house. So it's a house that's already built, but they're like, gonna DIY it, and it has like a haunted past. And so this book is kind of, I think there's ghosts and stuff in it. So that's the vibe of that book. And then we have The Collective. This one seemed really interesting. So this one is basically this mother thinks that she knows who unalived her daughter, but I don't think justice hasn't been served. So I think because she thinks she knows, but doesn't know for sure. But she ends up finding this like group of other women that have gone through similar horrific experiences. And it seems like it plays with the thought of like, what is justice and who deserves to dole out that justice, because I think all these women are kind of like going to go on a revenge unaliving spree to the people that they think did them wrong or did something to their loved ones. I'm not sure. Ooh, then we have Chasing the Boogeyman, which, okay, you guys, do not laugh at me or make fun of me, but I am so confused. I keep going back and forth. Is this a nonfiction or a fiction book? Like, because I think there's fiction in it, but I think it. I don't know, because it also said things like it was a not biography, but that he did like research and stuff. I don't know. I get confused. I think it's fiction, but oh, okay. It literally says on the inside that it's a work of fiction. My mom literally thought Anaconda, the movie, when she went to see it in theaters with my dad, she thought it was a documentary. So let's just keep that in mind, okay, before we start hating on me. Before we start calling me names. Let's just think of where I come from. So this one is a fictional book where I think he like goes and researches the boogeyman and maybe finds him. I don't know. Very excited to read that. Then we have Behind Closed Doors. So in this one, I think a girl has gone missing, and the cop that like is supposed to try and solve the case never solves it, and like years go by, and then I think the girl returns, and it's just kind of following that, like what happened maybe and stuff like that. So honestly, now that I'm like talking to you guys about these ones, I'm like, man, I'm ready to read now. I like want to read a book so bad. I don't know if I want romance or thriller now. I'm like talking myself into reading all this. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is such a hefty book. We have It by Stephen King. I'm sad to say I have not read this book. I feel like everyone is obsessed with Stephen King, and I have not read a single Stephen King book, you guys. That's a lie. Okay, I did read one, and I never got to see how it was finished, or I never got to read the ending because my dog, Callie, literally, I think I was like 10 pages till the end. It was the one where there's a girl in the woods, if you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a girl is in the woods, and that's the whole story. It's like she's lost in the woods. So I get to like the last chapter, the last 10 pages, I can't remember. It was like so close to the end though. And my husband and I go to the store, grocery store or something, come back. My dog has chewed the ending. Literally left the other part of the book fine, but chewed the ending up. And then I just never went back and tried to find it because I wasn't sure if that was a sign from the universe that like I was not meant to finish the book or what. But like I swear, she literally ate the pages that I still had to read. She didn't eat them, but she tore them up. And I was just like, what in the world? So yeah, I never got to find out how that book ended, but I liked what I had read. So I did want to read it during an October of some sort. One of these October years, I'm going to finally read this book. Let me know in the comments if it's worth it though. Like some people really say it's not, and some people say it's like a sin if you have not read Stephen King and you love horror. So let me know what you guys think. Then we have my best friend's exorcism, which the only reason I haven't read this one yet is because the movie came out on Amazon Prime, and I watched it, and then I felt like because I'd already watched it, I needed to like wait until I didn't remember what happened and then read that book, even though literally what happens is in the title. My best friend's exorcism. Like, I don't know why I'm acting like that, but like, that's just how I felt about it. So I still need to read it. I just feel like because I already know what happens, like I'm not interested in reading it because I already know the ending. It's kind of like it was spoiled, you know? We have Luckiest Girl Alive. This is so funny because I didn't know the two books were like right after one another, but this is also the same reason, is that I watched the Netflix movie of this book, and now I feel like I know what happens, so what's the point in reading the book, you know? But I really liked the Netflix show, or movie or whatever. And then we have 14 Ways to Die, You're So Dead, which again, this is one of the books that I purchased after getting back into reading, where I was still into YA. And I just haven't read this one yet. So I think it's like a bunch of influencers go to an island and then they get picked off one by one. I think that's what this book is, but I have not read it all yet. I started it, and then I think a book that I was way more interested in came out, and I read that instead, and then I literally just forgot that book even existed, to be completely honest with you. And then we have The Box in the Woods. I think basically there's a box in the woods, and this person finds it, and a lot of chaos ensues. I don't really know. I think it's also YA though, so that's why I've been putting it off too. Is just like, I just feel like YA just feels so young to me now. So then we have House. I think this is like kind of Saw coded, which I do love the Saw movies. I can't watch the gore that happens in the Saw movie. I don't like that part, but I like the psychology behind it and learning like why and people are put in there and like why. I like learning the whys in Saw, but I don't like the gore, which is like most of the movie. But yeah. Then we have The God of the Woods, which my sister got for me this past year for Christmas. Lots of books for Christmas presents. And she said it was really good. She listened to it on audiobook, but I'm going to read the physical copy. And it's a thriller. What did she say? I think she said that it was like something about like a missing kid and stuff. So yeah, I love any books where like people go missing. I feel like especially when it's children, because the stakes feel so much higher than if it's a missing adult. Then we have Confessions of a Murder Suspect, which again, I think is more in my YA vibe. I don't know, honestly, I can't remember now, but I read James Patterson books before and I liked them when I was younger. So I think I just keep feeling like he's a younger person writer. And so I just haven't been in the mood to like read a younger person book, I guess. If that makes any sense. I'm literally over here not making any sense. And then we have No One Can Know, which this I think is like kind of a psychological thriller. Okay, so her parents were unalived and she has sisters and she saw something that the other sisters didn't see and she ends up having to move back to the family house for a reason. And then secrets start to happen and she must probably have to tell people what she saw that night. I don't know what she saw, but anyways, that sounded intriguing. Then we have Just Another Missing Person. So this one, I think you get the point of view of the girl that goes missing in this book, and then you also get the point of view of the policewoman trying to find her. So that sounds so good to me. I love a good crime thriller when it's focused more on the thrilling aspect than it is the crime aspect, because whenever I read a crime thriller where it's just so focused on like how the crime system works, I'm like, I don't care. Did I say you could go? This one seems like it's a friendship thing. So they become friends in high school, I think it says, or sometime in school. They kind of grow apart because of like, I think one of them's like kind of toxic or maybe Heather's kind of situation. And then she ends up letting the girl back into her life as when they're grown-ups and things go awry. One Step Behind. This is a psychological thriller about a stalker, like a woman being stalked by a man, I think. They Never Learn, I got for Christmas this year. This one said it was, on TikTok, it said it was dark academia vibes, and I love a good dark academia book, so that's why I picked this one up. Then we have Two by the Same Author, which literally, you guys, every time I freaking look at one of these, I'm like, don't I have that? Like, because, okay, I see this book, and then I pick up this book, and I think they're the same book, and then they're not. So it's The Retreat, and then we also have The Sanatorium. So we have these two books that are both thrillers. I don't know what each of them is about. I'm hoping I like this author because apparently I've bought multiple of her books, or her. I think her name's Sarah. Oh, and then we have Hidden Pictures, which I actually got this for my mom because she also likes to read thrillers. She said she didn't love it. So I'm kind of iffy on it because she did not give it good reviews. I think she said it was just kind of bleh. Like she thought it was meh, and I was like, okay. And I've heard that this is like offensive or something. I don't know. I've heard that this is not a good book, but I purchased it before I knew all of that and heard all of that to give to my mom. Okay, we have The Haunting of Ashburn House, which is a Darcy Coates. I have read, I think, at least one, if not two, of Darcy Coates' books. And I find them to be very mid, but like, they're okay. They're almost a nice palate cleanser if you just want a novel that almost feels like a movie, B-list movie. I don't know what you call it, but like, this gives off bad horror movie vibes, in my opinion. Most of her books that I have read do. And I kind of like that. If I'm in the mood for it, it works. If I'm not in the mood for it, I get bored as heck. But usually they're okay. They're pretty good. Ooh, this one I'm really excited about. I kind of forgot about some of these and now I'm like back to wanting to read them. So this one is Last Days, and it's basically a documentary maker goes to shoot a film on a notorious cult, and then a lot of uncanny things start to happen when he starts to interview people that were involved in the cult. So seems pretty good. I don't know. I love cult stuff. It's so interesting to me. So I'm very excited to read that. Then we have Jawbone. This one I know is straight up horror, I'm pretty sure. Someone I watch on YouTube, I can't remember who, but she had really highly recommended this book. So that's why I got it. I don't really know what it's about. And I think she had even said like go into this one not knowing anything. So that's what I plan to do. This one, from what I've heard, is basically an Elsa, like it doesn't actually take place at Disneyland because they can't use that name, copyright issues. Basically, the girl's kind of playing Elsa is what you're supposed to believe. And then she's also unaliving people, I think. So, and we get to kind of look into her psychotic break or something. I don't know. But it sounded really different and cool. And I've just recently been getting into horror, so I thought it seemed very my speed. I feel like the horror I prefer and love the most is like girly horror, if that makes sense. Like girly pop horror, where it's like pink and fun. And basically the movie Neon Demon, that's my favorite type of horror. So anything that gives those kind of vibes, I'm into. We have Chlorine. This one is about a person slowly turning into a mermaid, but it's like a horror. So it's I think it's like psychological. I don't know. But a girl I watch on YouTube said it was really good. So I wanted to read it. Okay, you guys, that was my entire physical TBR. It was lengthy. It actually wasn't as much as I thought though. There are some other books on my shelf that I haven't read, but they're kind of like miscellaneous and I don't think I'm gonna get to them this year for sure. So I'm just like, I don't want to bother showing them to you guys. It's just like random books that don't really fit into a genre. But yeah, okay. Let me know in the comments if there's any of the books that you think I should read first, and if there's any books specifically that you would enjoy seeing a reading vlog / review of. Let me know in the comments, and also let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts on them, because I love hearing other people's thoughts on books that I'm about to read. So please, no spoilers, but definitely give thoughts in the comments if you have any. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content. Like I said, I will be posting more bookish content whether you like it or not. I know a lot of you don't seem to watch the book stuff that I post, and that's completely fine. You don't have to watch anything that you're not interested in on my channel. That's completely fine. But I am going to post it because I just love reading and it's something I do a lot. So I figure I might as well make some content about it because it's fun to me. So I will keep making bookish content. So if you are interested in following me along for some reading vlogs, some recommendation videos, and any other things, any other bookish videos that you want to see, comment below and I will do them, because I basically am down to do any bookish content because it's my favorite thing to do is reading. So yeah, anyways, lots of more bookish content to come. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful rest of your week and I'll see you guys in my next one.